So whenever I'm talking to a new client to potentially work with them, one of the main things that I find that everybody gets wrong is your timeline. So in this video, I am going to help you create and understand what a proper timeline is when you want to create a full brand using contract manufacturing, so you have a better understanding and have better expectation for yourself. So let's get started. My name's Annie. I am a designer of 18 years. I have worked in design, sourcing, development, and production, and I am here to help you create your fashion brand. So first off, your phase one is going to be research and brand development. And this is where I would put the mood board section for you to do your homework before you go ahead and hire a designer or a fashion consultant. You really want to be able to use this time to hone in what your brand is, what your aesthetic going to be, and hopefully also what kind of a collection you want to launch for people. You can't just go like, I'm just gonna make clothing for everybody, because then you're making clothes for nobody. This is when you're going to be spending the least amount of money, and you're going to get that background work ready to launch your clothing brand off the ground and everything before other people start picking it up. Most people, I think, in general, will maybe take 1 or 2 months to do this. Phase two, this is when you've already either started designing the clothes yourself or already hired a designer that's going to help you design. Then you've already created your mood boards, you sent those mood boards to your designer, and they're gonna design concepts for you. So generally for me, depending on how many designs you're gonna do, like maybe 2 to 4 weeks for design concepts, and that's maybe for like up to next iterations for your design concepts. Then you move into tech packs. So tech packs are typically, I think, will, depending on how many styles you want and obviously how many hours you're gonna give your designer and everything, I would venture around another 2 to 4 weeks for that. So those are things that can all be worked out between you and your designer about how fast and how many hours you want to allocate to them. The next phase is going to be sourcing and development. That's when either you or your fashion designer or your consultant will go out, find those fabrics for the factories to be able to take those and source them for you. So these are 2 caveats here. If you're going to international factories, what is the preferable thing to do is either find competitive samples that use the fabric that you want, or go to things like trade shows in your area to find the fabrics. You want to take those fabrics and send them to the factory, and then they can go source things out for you. And so take a couple of weeks for sourcing yourself, and then you have to add a couple of weeks for your factory to do it. Domestic production is much more a la carte. So if you're working with domestic, meaning US manufacturers, all of their quoting and everything they're doing for you is all based on labor. So their pattern making and their sewing for the garments. But fabrics and trims and branded trims, all those things need to be provided by the client and sent to the factories. For both international and domestic manufacturers, once the fabric is found, or at least a close match to the fabric is found, they'll start with the pattern and the sample. And in general, first sample will typically take you 3 or 4 weeks after the fabric is found. And then when samples come in, I generally like to have fit sessions with the fit model and my client, obviously. And then whoever's working on the revisions will need to spec the styles and provide the fit comments to the factory. And then you do that all over again. Because in general, I think a good rule of thumb is to expect 2 to 3 sample rounds per development for your budget and then for your time as well. So just in the development stage, if you're thinking 3 to 4 weeks per samples and then 2 weeks for fitting, so if you're fixing in 3 rounds of samples before you approve for the production, that's going to be 18 weeks for development. That's probably pretty much the minimum. And then you go into your production. That's when your PO drops. So when the PO drops, that means the factory's gonna go out and either order the fabric. If it's in stock fabric, it'll probably take a week to get in. If it's fabric that they need to actually produce, that could take 30 days. If the fabric has to be made, they will first make letter size swatches of the fabric so they can send it to you, you can approve it, and then they can go on with all their production. And that's generally gonna be 30 to 45 days. Cannot be stopped. You approved it, it's going. The difference between international and domestic is that for domestic, your development time is longer because they actually want you to have 100% approval samples, because you will not get the pre-production samples after your PO. And then after that, when your production is done, you will get to the logistics and shipping portion, which if it's overseas and if you decide to do quality controls, those quality controls typically happen like 2 weeks before they're ready to ship out anyway. So you have all your quality controls right at the very end of production. So all those put together, I generally say you're looking at least 6 to 9 months when it comes to apparel design, development, and production at the very least. So I hope that helped you out. I hope if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to comment below. I will answer any questions you may have. If you like my channel, please like and subscribe. I would love to see you come back for more. If you want to see more of my content, there's going to be a video right here, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, bye.